It looks like we'll be getting an anime GTA 6 before GTA 6. And you might be asking, what is this game? Well, for those of you who don't know, this is formerly known as Project Mugen, but was recently renamed to ANANTA. 2 days ago, they dropped a huge trailer announcing the pre-registration for the game, as well as a bunch of characters with a whole lot of new information coming out about the game. So previously, we knew ANANTA, or Project Mugen rather, as an open world RPG. Now, I haven't seen anywhere online that confirms that ANANTA will be a multiplayer game, but we can assume if it's anything similar to Hoyoverse games, it probably will have an aspect of multiplayer. What makes this game so special is because it just incorporates the best of every game you can imagine. There's a little bit for everybody, and in this trailer really shows that. There's racing, there's Spider-Man movement mechanics throughout the city, and basically today I'm going to be doing a rundown of what you can expect coming with this title. Now, seeing how the trailer looks so complete, my best guess is that this game will be coming out in 2025. They look to have a great deal of content already done. So if you don't know, this game is being developed by Netease and Naked Rain. Naked Rain is a studio that has no former titles in their catalog. However, it appears that this will be their first game. So ANANTA will be set in the vast open world of Nova City. It was originally announced last year at Gamescom, and the developers have said that having fun is the ultimate goal. We'll come back to that later. This game also will be free to play, just like a bunch of other similar titles: Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zenless Zone Zero, Wuthering Waves. Very similar to those games, however, it looks bigger than all of those games combined. So in ANANTA, players will be taking on the role of an elite agent with the ACD, Anti-Chaos Directorate, embarking on an exhilarating adventure through a world that breaks all the rules. Nova City has been plunged into chaos, from spooky paranormal phenomena to toilets racing through traffic in the streets. The game promises to offer a unique blend of humor, adventure, and mystery. Players will meet a variety of interesting characters and jump into exciting combat, solve challenges, and safeguard the balance of overcoming threats to humanity, all the while enjoying unparalleled freedom to traverse and discover Nova City. So that's how they've described the game. I think the gameplay trailer reflects that pretty accurately. It looks like there are going to be other cities, and we know this because the devs have come out and said players will encounter adventures and explore in other interconnected cities. So it looks like the combat for ANANTA will be pretty diverse. It is almost run-of-the-mill what you can expect from these types of anime RPGs, but the combat does look a lot more interesting. It looks like they've incorporated a lot more movement, some really interesting abilities. It's not just you get your generic fire character. It looks like quite a lot of the characters will be psychically enhanced, as there's one character throwing a car, there's another character who can use yo-yos, and what looks similar to like a Spider-Man combat almost. So really, they've just tried to hammer down the fact that this is going to be a huge exploration game. ANANTA honestly looks like what I was hoping Zenless Zone Zero would have been on launch. It was really disappointing to find out that in Zenless Zone Zero, you explore the world through televisions. And that game had a really great aesthetic going for it. It had a really great vibe, but I just did not feel the need to continue playing it. Whereas ANANTA looks like there's going to be a lot more freedom to traverse the world, as well as interesting encounters along the way, which is important. You don't want a huge cityscape with all of the same stuff. It's just going to be really boring, and players are going to get bored of it really fast. So the trailer showcases a lot of that. It showcases a lot of interesting events, a lot of interesting characters. We have confirmation of some of the characters. Disappointingly enough, and I say this as somebody who is who enjoys really cool male characters, I think a lot of gachas can skew too heavy into having a really female-dominated cast, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's what keeps the games running. It's why people spend money on the games. However, me personally, I just enjoy to see more male characters, more of a balanced roster, but it doesn't look like we're going to be getting that in this game. So we have a few characters here. Lycaea, Aileen, who looks to be some sort of kung fu maid. And it looks like they're going all in with the fan service. Now, if you've been following any sort of news games coverage, you've seen recently that games like Marvel Rivals, for example, are doing very well because these Eastern developers, Japanese, especially Chinese developers, are not afraid to give players, for lack of a better term, a little bit of fan service. If that's your thing, cool. I personally don't mind either way. I don't really have a preference for it. I don't think there's any such thing as tasteful fan service, but as long as it's not like a gooner simulator, it's absolutely fine with me. Zenless Zone Zero definitely crossed a little bit into that line, but I was still willing to play it. It's just a bit harder to tell people in real life that I enjoy that game. So we also have Taffy, who we saw in the trailer was riding around in between cars. She looks really cool. It looks like the different characters are also going to come with different ways to explore the city. So one of the characters had like Spider-Man webs. She has that little truck or car or whatever she's riding on. Next we have Dilla, and they really went all in with the fan service on her. She looks like a Hoyoverse character in all honesty. Then we have Banzi, who's looks like a Splatoon character, honestly. In the first trailer that they had for Project Mugen, she was seen with a paintball gun and shooting at enemies. Pretty cool. And then Alan, who is the character with the yo-yos. He looks pretty cool. He looks like he's going to be pretty akin to Spider-Man, which I'm really excited for. His abilities looked really fun. So apart from the 2 trailers they dropped, there's not a whole lot of information out about this game already. What we do know is that the cars are going to be customizable. There are going to be a lot of mini games. There's a huge emphasis on mini games in the trailer as well. So for players who aren't really interested in the min-max meta of these types of games, where you just farm, equipment to max out your characters and then, get power crept a few months later when another character ultimately releases that power creeps the character you enjoy. They really want to emphasize that this game is going to be fun. There's going to be a ton of stuff to do other than the combat gameplay. In some other titles, the mini games feel a little jank. We see that with like Genshin Impact, especially during their events. They have these mini games that they program to the game. It's not a mainstay edition, but usually they feel a little jank because it's not the main focus of the game. Now, what is really interesting about this, I think, is that this is probably going to be, we don't know how big this city is yet, but it looks to be, at least in the trailers and at least in the concept art, one of the biggest cities that we have ever seen in gaming, probably close to something like Spider-Man or Grand Theft Auto. And it's a very welcome surprise. Personally, I have not been too happy with the Hoyoverse games. I was a big Genshin Impact player, played Star Rail for a bit, and then Zenless Zone Zero. And the recurring theme with those games is that they were just not very fun to log into after a while. The daily grind of doing your dailies and then doing a labyrinth or abyss type system and then farming out equipment just wasn't my thing after a while. I had done it for about 2 years in Genshin Impact, built up a really strong roster of characters, and then, you leave for a few months, you're totally power crept. You got like 5 billion quests to go on to catch up to the main story, and I'm just like, I don't care. The one thing I hope with this game is that they don't shoehorn in any annoying characters. Looking at you, Paimon. And it doesn't look like that. It looks like a lot of these characters, it's definitely a lot more adult themed, less so for kids, which I'm perfectly fine with. I mean, obviously there's guns, there's a ton of fan service. They're not afraid of, they're clearly not afraid of putting off some people in the Western audience. And on top of that, the designs for everything just look so cool. I mean, you're battling a car and like some weird statue thing. There's a bunch of toilets running around. That's a whole lot more unique and flavorful than games that we've seen in the past. And that's what I've been hoping, is that we move away from this genre where the only unique things that are happening in the game are the new gacha characters that are coming out. If you think about it, there's been a huge oversaturation of these anime waifus, and over time, they really do lose their luster, their value, because there's just so many of them. Like, who cares at this point, right? This genre itself is oversaturated, and I think ANANTA comes at a good time because There have been a lot of games that have tried to be a quote-unquote Genshin killer, and they've fallen to the wayside. Look at Tower of Fantasy. There's a bunch of other smaller gachas I can mention. And, they still do pretty well for themselves. They still make money, but it has come nowhere near close to being a Genshin killer. Hoyoverse is still very strong. Their earnings reports reflect that. They're still doing very well with the banners. But you have to wonder when those games are going to fall off. It looks like ANANTA could be the first actual competitor to that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'm personally very excited about this. And if you guys did enjoy the video, I'm going to be doing some more coverage when we find out some more information on this. Make sure to pre-register on their website if you guys are interested on getting your hands on this. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. I'm going to be covering more broad gaming news. We're trying to return to the daily uploads. I just got a new setup, so that's why there was a pause in content. And until next time, guys, peace.